Whether it's at the sportsbook or anywhere else in the casino, he's always helping us find an edge. It's time for Fezzik Fridays.
Starring Steve Fezzik, everybody. Is Steve short for Steveland? Like Stevie Wonder? Steveland? No?
I was unaware of Steveland.
Yeah, Steveland.
It is not, it's disappointing. I can't root. Well, I'm rooting for you to win on your tennis. I didn't see the tennis because that Will Hill, he just keeps sending veal parmesan pictures. And it's like, there's too much clutter. Can we make the tennis bigger?
Steve hates that you really got mad about. This is not, we're not even joking about this. You really got upset that in our group text is betting, is for betting. And so if we stray and you miss bets, you get really ornery.
Do you know what's going on with that New York mayoral election? It's like, we'll talk about that in April.
Well, you can bet on that in some places, Steve. I'm just letting you know.
And then I don't get what the Bear Felica is on, and I want to know because he's done so exceptionally well.
So let's talk about this. So I even said to him when he was on air, I need to give him accolades to praise him, and I never got around to it, so shame on me. So this is a good place to start. He is crushing it in yet another contest.
And it's all about multiple contests. You nailed it. Multiple years, multiple contests. So famously, the World Series of Poker main event. Jamie Gold, not a bad poker player. Chris Moneymaker, not a bad poker player, but not world class. And you just dodge raindrops for 6 days. And it's like, well, that'll be it for Moneymaker. Phil Ivey's got him unless an ace comes on the river. Bang! Oh, it's an ace, and Ivey is gone. So there's,
you should do play-by-play for that, Steve.
There's survivorship bias here. We're like, and a dude can like crush it in any one contest, hits just 71%, and I'm like, well, what do I expect he'll hit the next year? And be like, 52.4%, and people lose their minds over that. How can you be so ridiculous? You hit nothing in that contest, and that guy hit over 70%. I'm like, yeah, but you have 1,000 dudes flipping coins. Someone's going to hit 68%. It's just the nature of it, but it's the long term that the Bear, and think about all of his media obligations, the travel, the meeting, like just knowing all the players, all the stuff he has to do, and to still maintain that at the highest level.
So tell us, what contest specifically is he killing right now?
So my understanding is he's second in the Westgate college football contest, and there's over 1,000 people, mind you.
Are you in this contest as well?
Yes.
He believes that you are doing this to reverse jinx him, or just to jinx him, period.
Oh, no, I'm too far behind to be able to catch him. Maybe if I was in 7th place, but I'm like in 40. Chris, I'm in 44th place, so I'm like I'm on the verge of elimination. From so that's funny. But I really do want to emphasize that Chris Felica has this long term. He could go south and not do nothing for 3 years, and he's already got a resume that's greater than anybody else in the national media will ever have the rest of their lives in terms of the success at these contests, and yet. For some reason, he gets he gets some credit for it, but like everyone else is like this great insider, they know. To put them in a contest, can't do nothing.
Here's a great example. If I didn't bring it up, right, and because I didn't bring it up, he never brings it up.
Exactly.
Right. He's modest about that. He doesn't bring it up.
And he's winning the VSiN Invitational,
which he's won before. And frankly, Chrissy, I don't want to jinx you. But it's yours to lose now because you are dominating. He has done so well. That was just unnecessary and uncalled for.
This is where Todd would say, I am Hasheming the Bear.
You are Hasheming
I am summoning the Hashem god of bad luck.
Could you get Jesse Pagula to win this match, though? I'd appreciate that.
Too much clutter. Didn't see it.
Yeah. Okay. Not to follow up the Felica praise with you now giving picks. No pressure. But what have you bet this weekend?
So let's go college tonight. I actually like every game tonight. So I am with the Bear on Tulane against Memphis. Now, when I say I in college games, I am, of course, the great aggregator, where I'm looking at who my guys like and when there's matches, and I agree with it.
Can you shout out some of the people that this originated from, please?
Number one, my buddy Dan Allen in Huntington Beach, one of the greatest college football handicappers that you've never heard of.
Oh, Dan.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know Dan?
No, I don't.
Okay. Yeah. Certainly Dr. Bob. BigAl.com. I get Big Al stuff.
Big Al.
And I get a couple other guys that don't want me to ever mention their name.
Okay. Well, that's fair too. But
I color code my plays. Oh, I get the Dr. Chow Sports Injury Central, the injury reports from them as well.
I never thought Ryan Leaf and I would agree on something, but Ryan Leaf is relentless on him.
Ryan Leaf has a lot of demons in his closet. I might I don't know. I'm not gonna go there.
All right, don't go there.
Yes.
What's next? What do you got?
Let's play Central Florida. Wow. Dan made Central Florida 4-point favorite against Houston. You can get +1, so we got to invest in Central Florida. And this one, I actually agree with as well. I know Northwestern is a plucky little team with good defense and not a lot of offense, but a USC team cannot be lined at 51, not unless there's a monsoon that is going up the West Coast that I'm unaware of that's going to hit tonight. So I will go over 51 Northwestern and USC.
All right, let's talk about the importance of having accounts with -105 or better VIG.
So I do have access to some -105, and it's amazing, the difference in volume. Literally, I look at a college football board. When I'm laying -110, I got to hit 52.4% just to break even, not to win. But at -105, it's 51.3%. And the barrier is so much, literally, I'm bet. There's so many games, you and Kelly were talking about the Seattle-Arizona game, and it's -6.5, -105, I'm down. -110, no thank you. +7, lay 105, absolutely. It's so many of these bets are 52%-ish type bets. And that sounds trivial, but if you can find a 52% bet laying -105, that's 0.7% above break even. So you multiply by 2. That's a 1.4% edge. Now think about that. What is a 1.4% edge? That's a blackjack player playing a true count of +5. I mean, that's chunky black bet, in terms of chips, get you kicked out of the casino because you're so ultra aggressive with such a huge edge, and yet people just poo-poo that difference between -105 and -110. It's like blackjack's paying 2 for 1. It's crazy.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention we also now live in a world, right, where we have less than -105 in some other alternative universes, right?
And I firmly believe this, and people get angry at me, and so be it. If you can win on Sunday, betting -110 in the NFL, playing sides, and you're not you're consistently winning, you say I'm winning year after year, I'm doing really well. It's you are not winning nearly enough. You should be a multimillionaire. If you have any ambition and you can hit 53%, because you can lay -102. All right, Profit X, other betting exchanges, etc. Think about your edge when you're hitting 53% and you're basically playing VIG free. All right, let's say it's -100 just to make the math, and you're hitting 53.5%.
Yeah,
you're at a 6% edge. So think about it. You have a bigger edge than the house has against the suckers playing roulette. All right. It's going to be really hard not to build an enormous bankroll, even with crappy bet sizing. Even if you overbet your bankroll a little or underbet it, it's just going to grow through the roof. Well, here's the problem. No one can hit 53% that I can find on the NFL on Sunday. Now, they can do it.
On Sunday, right?
On Sunday. Now, against the openers, against the games of the year, against rogue numbers that people present, absolutely. But against the market number sharpest lines, Circa is not facing I saw that you can get 250,000 at the cashier at Circa, right? They have up to 250,000. There's a reason, because people aren't beating them out of 250,000 left and right at the sports book.
Speaking of contests, how are you doing this year? I had Las Vegas Chris on the Megapod yesterday with Will and Todd. Las Vegas Chris, who has won multiple contests in this town, the Palms, the Win, Last Man Standing, college football. He's won them. He was second and fifth once in Circa. He's saying he's getting crushed in these contests this year. You?
Yeah, a mixed bag. I was in last place in the VSiN Invitational 3 weeks ago, and I think I'm in 15th now. So,
what do you attribute that to?
I'm not giving Circa enough respect. So on Friday, I'm playing their rogue numbers, and the reason that those are rogue numbers is because somebody really good is betting it, and they've got them flagged as a great bettor. So I'm like, oh, I get -1 in this game. I kind of liked already. When the market's -2, and there's a reason it's -1 is they're suckering me into plays. The other contests, I'm okay in millions. I'm 27 and 18, so I'm not dead, but 60% is no good. if you're at 60%, people are like, oh, you're right where you want to be.
With all these people in the pool, yeah, there's no way.
It's right where you want to be. It's like being in the Masters, right, where you're like you make the cut and you're like and you're at par. You're like you're playing for, you're hoping to get a paycheck at that point, like a small a reasonable paycheck. You've got no chance to win, basically. And in the Westgate, like you mentioned, I think I've got one entry that's like 40th and one entry that's like 65th that the Bear is in second. And the only reason he's not in first is there's some alien that wins every game that's 3 games ahead of him.
That's incredible.
And we're thinking about, like, the only way we can, like, maybe we can just, like, find a way to, like, turn his alarms off so he can't get his plays in 1 week. He still might win.
Las Vegas Chris got a little offended when I said that he did it the way you did, but the way you do is you're always exploiting static numbers in contests. That's
boy, exploit is such a harsh word.
Whatever word you want to use, but that hasn't worked out quite the same this year.
That's right, and more importantly, I will just never take a bad number. So, like, I got to say, they'll get angry at me. So you have a lot of experts that aren't sports betting experts necessarily. They might be like given accolades by everyone else, but they'll say things like, I'll use an example. Cal, the line's more 2.9, and they're like, I really like Cal, so Cal plus 2.5. It's one of my plays. No, it should never be. Plus 2.5 should never be a play when you can play plus 3 at, like, the majority of the books, in my opinion.
So yesterday I did a thing, I always preview the Thursday Night Football game, Kelly and I do, and I was just talking about the Broncos and the Raiders and all the stats that went the Broncos' way, and obviously it didn't result in a cover, but one of the subsets of stats I was talking about were how the Broncos had 40 sacks on the year going into the game last night. I think they got 6 last night, if I'm not mistaken. 12 more going into last night's game than any other team in the NFL. And so I thought, in our group chat, I thought that you had heard that and then you found a prop, but you hadn't even heard that. You found the prop on your own. Explain.
Yeah, so independently, it's a standalone game, so I have more time, right? So I am walking around, and and as I'm getting my miles in, I'm looking at the Caesars menu and all the different props, boom, boom, and then I'm like, okay, team to record first sack, and I'm like, oh, Denver's got a really good pass rush, and they're a 9-point favorite, so they're going to be like minus 200. And then it's like, wait, it's minus 130. I'm like, did I read this wrong? What's this?
This?
And then I send out the word, and then Will Hill or someone else comes and says, it's minus 110 at DraftKings, like, team to get the first sack. And I'm like
it's incredible.
Like, and I say this again and again and again. If you're a $500 or less bettor, stop trying to beat these NFL sides. You could bet Denver to get the first sack last night. I did give this out to my clients, minus 110, and it was and I graded it at minus 130 because that was at the number at Caesars and Will Hill, and DraftKings then had minus 120, like, all the way up until the game kicked off. Like, you had hours and hours, and I'm thinking to myself, like, how is it DraftKings didn't lose $1 million last night?
So this is also it's a great sort of, by the way, Rybakina beats Pagula 6-3 in the final set. That's not fun. It's a great testament to, first of all, having a chat with your friends, because I'm doing shows, I'm doing a podcast, right? Even though I'm doing the content where I'm saying, here's the amazing thing about the Broncos and their sacks, but I don't have the time to go through Caesars at that point of the day. I happen to be looking at the group chat. You have the bet. I'm like, I don't know if Steve heard the show and did this or whatever, but I'm like, minus 130. That's absolutely a bet that can lose, but you absolutely have to make that bet every time.
The irony is that stupid Bo Nix got sacked on his first drive. So we got lucky,
because we got the kickoff.
Right, so we sacked Geno first, but it was like 6 to 1 or 6 to 2.
But to your point, it's that minus 130 existed all day long, and that was the worst juice that was on of any place, because as you said, DraftKings was even better. So it didn't move anywhere.
I bet it for 2,000. They didn't move it. They said, this dummy's laying minus 130.
Right.
I'm sure they're like, what an idiot.
Right.
He could get minus 110, because this is an example of never in my life would I think I have to comparison shop this, because it's so far off.
I was convinced, because you showed your ticket, I knew how much you bet. I was convinced that it was not going to be there, that price, when I got there, but it was many hours later. And the point being, again, not only have a group chat or have constant communication with your betting friends, because they will find stuff that you, even though you have spelled out why it would be a good bet, don't even get around to betting because you don't even know it's there, you don't have time, whatever. But the other thing is what you said earlier, and this is the biggest point, which is there are so many offerings now. And inevitably, something is going to be wrong. right? Something's going to be off in a way. That still exists.
Like the number of punts. I know an $80 fine pass posts.
Yeah.
The number of punts was 8.5. And everybody asked, 8.5 punts, what do you think? And they're like, well, over, of course. You know, it's like and the same thing with the sacks. Like, I asked people, what should this line be? And people would be like, minus 230, minus 180. There was not one person that I asked that thought this line should be south of minus 170, you know? Mm-hmm. And yet it's minus 130, but limited bandwidth. We got to bet Indy IU over, right? Before everyone else gets to it. By the way.
But the people who got the bad number didn't get that.
But yes, by the way, this is a classic example. I'm going to put the cat out of the bag. If you're going to bet Indy IU games, they're Loyola Marymount of 2025. That's the famous Hank Gathers team, Bo Kimball, where they just ran up and down the court and and beat UCLA in a tournament game like 130,
was the coach.
131 to 92 or something, or Michigan. They beat somebody. So if you're going to bet an IU game total, you better bet it when it opens because it's going to go up.
Well, shout out to Tim Murray, who was on the show yesterday. Tim Murray was on to talk college football, and Tim Murray brings this up. Tim Murray, the host of VSiN Primetime College Football Tailgate Show and also the College Football Betting Podcast. But he brought up the IU, formerly known as IUPUI, now Indianapolis, I guess it is.
Big upgrade in name, yes.
I don't know. I liked IUPUI.
Not me.
But it was 180. Minus 104, minus 180, minus 104, minus 180, minus 106 when we first started talking about it. By the time we had finished the discussion, it was minus 180, minus 117. And then as the show went on, I think about an hour after the show, it was already like 184.
And then I think it went to 187.
It got all the way to 187. So you got the worst of it. You did end up losing. But for those who listened and bet it on the show yesterday, everybody was a winner. So thank you to Tim Murray on that.
And this is interesting in terms of we talk about the importance of the VIG. And like I'll scream at people. I'll say bet the Rams plus 3 minus 110, which I did. I think it's bet the Steelers plus 3 minus 110 at the Chargers or at home game for the Steelers in LA. With the terrible towels, but like if someone came back and they said, okay, I got down, and they showed me a ticket plus 3 minus 17, I'd be like, what are you doing? You know, it's like you laid an extra 7 cents. By contrast, who cares you're laying minus 116 on something that totals off by 5 points?
But you do realize, like, your price sensitivity is the exception and not the rule, right? Like, so numbers game listeners might be a little different in terms of percentage, but if you take the general betting population, the percentage of people who are just not price sensitive at all is a massive majority.
Massive. That's why people are playing these SGPs and not even realizing the VIG they're laying. But, I'll use an example. On some of these betting exchanges, ProfitX, etc., literally, like on a pick'em game, both sides are being offered at minus 101, all right? And no one's taking it. No one is taking it. Think about but the second you put up plus 100, bang, it gets filled. So the biggest bets, the sharpest bettors are extremely price sensitive.
Yes. Though, do you believe, like on these, do you believe people are so, right? Because I know you play a prediction market, and you claim that people are sensitive to the decimal points. Do you really believe that?
Well, I have one betting exchange where literally, like in the example I gave, you can put up an offer and say, I will take plus 100.3. And literally people will accept the offer and they won't accept if I say I want plus 101.
You guys are not human. You guys are robots.
Left brain guys. And back to like I can bet on the Hawaii game and go to sleep. I won't even check the score when I wake up. It just goes into the clutter.
We get tweets at Beating the Book. I always appreciate the feedback. Best listeners in the game. A. Brown at Down in Jungle Land. He says Indiana kids co-opted Iowa's ritual when a drunken candy-striped pant-clad college kid slurred Hoosiers by a million. At my 5-year-old son attending his first Terps game, note, fast forward 60 minutes of game time, Hoosiers won by about $1 million. Steve the Proxy, let's not forget about earlier games played by the Broncos. In Week 6, they played the Jets in London, won 13-11 in what was the worst game of the year up until that point. Yeah, it was. Then just last week, a total snoozer versus Houston. Broncos are not your typical 7-2 team. They sure are not.
8-2.
Jason H11. Live Fezzik has just morphed into Twitter Fezzik. Did you? I don't think you did you?
That's coming.
Oh, is it coming? Oh, no. Brian M. I would have gone Seahawks, Atlanta Hawks, Hawk Tua before Iowa. We're talking about Hawks by $1 million. Hawk Tua got on that list? Wow. And Jim Del Torio. Oh, Jim heard my third base MC Search reference yesterday. Pop goes the weasel and the weasel goes pop. So he's giving me the video for that. That was good. And the other one was real cool because Brooklyn's cool. Brooklyn, Queens. Shrek McPhee, well, Pagula might have lost, but Musetti's off to a great start. He just bageled Corda in the first set, that's great. But usually you don't want to bagel someone. You want to go 6-1. There's some superstition involved in bageling. But we're off to a good start in Musetti
Just avoid the tiebreakers at all costs.
Yes, my tiebreaker record here in the late part of the year is not fun. So that's off to a good start. Rich Copro has a question for you. For Steve, when is it better to pay higher juice for a better number? It's kind of broad.
Yeah, go to, easy question, go to Captain Jack Andrews. Those guys at Unabated do a great job. So they'll tell you why a minus 115 in almost every sport on the money line is better than minus one, lay $1.10.
Fairway Fred says, congrats, Gill. First brain slip with Kelly. Only 5,000 behind me. Oh, talking about how I didn't remember that Kelly auditioned for that Dwayne Wade game show. I don't remember that at all. So he says he's been married 25 years. Add up all these forgotten conversations that I had with my wife. He says, real Nicks, I'm guilty of missing the good over line. I was too busy with work, so didn't bet till 2 hours after Tim was on. Lost by a half a point. He got the worst of it. So in Fezzik's honor, to do the math, I made $40 working those 2 hours, but would have made $100 if I just made the damn bet early. Minus $60, he says.
You know, there's a very valuable lesson there where, and I know like the show that comes on next, John Hansen, I love prop points. And he talks about, a lot of his handicaps are the good story where he's talking about like, I like this player and makes complete sense. Listen to John Monday through Friday. Don't just listen to his Friday show because you're going to get hooked. You're going to play stuff that he said early in the week that he liked, and it just happened with the number 2 wide receiver for Denver. So the guy, I can't remember his name, he got 40 yards, and he opened like 36, and he closed 45, and fiddled in the middle, and the number 2 wide receiver for Denver.
Patrick Bryant? Troy Franklin?
Franklin, yeah. I was thinking about the no-shoe kicker for the Eagles. So Franklin got exactly 40, and I know on Thursday I said, I like Franklin over 41.5, and so it's like,
John Hansen does a great job. Great job.
And you know what's fantastic about that is that if you agree with the stuff that he likes, bet it immediately. And if you disagree, then maybe look to play it at post in the other direction. You more often get the best number. The one thing I talk to Bill 80 sometimes, and I'm like, all these guys, these fantasy guys, I'm like, make it so a fifth grader can understand, especially like hockey. Don't ever say the goaltender's name. It's like, I need the team. I need Kansas City quarterback Patrick Mahomes under 268 yards. Make it so a kindergartner could find it and bet it.
He's a robot kindergartner. By the way, you not only love prop points, but you love Stormy and JVT afterwards, right?
You know, my son is 14 and he's on the debate team. And it's a true story, all right? Yeah. And I said, when you're debating, you want to craft a very logical argument, back it up with facts, instead of just like some really, really successful guys. I think Stephen A. Smith sometimes just like gives his opinion without like a lot of background, why this is good. And I personally believe, might just be my opinion, but I love the way Stormy, goes ahead, has a logical take and backs it up with really, really good supporting facts that support her position, whether be it right or wrong. So shout out to Stormy. She does a great job.
They're both fantastic, Stormy and JVT. They do a great job.
And JVT, like specializing in the NBA, does a fantastic job, with all that, and it's a great team.
Prop points, followed by money moves right after this show.
Don't touch that dial.
One last tweet here from Ayaoya S69. He says, I'm 2,000% that the disclaimer, there will be math, was not disclosed. Love you guys. That's true. I was thinking it while you were doing the math. I'm like, this is not good.
I do a podcast where we actually say, warning math. Here comes the math.
Okay, yes. So here's non-math. So this is, in our last 5 minutes, let's talk about this, because we are aware of what we're doing all day, right? So after this, let's say on a Thursday, I do a podcast or whatever, but then it's all like, okay, it's not the most heavy time of year handicapping tennis, but there's still some handicap involved. But there's college basketball. We're all following what Todd's doing. This is like a super, for those who don't get the life that we lead, but I'll go to you. Explain the life that you lead at this time of year.
Yeah, so every morning I get up and it's like tick, Chris Berman, tick. I got to get my son to school, but I got to drop him off and get home in time, and I got to get my plays out to my clients at 6:30. Then I drive my son to school. I got to be back by 7 because the good doctor has his college basketball releases at 7 a.m., Dr. Bob, and they can go for a good hour, all right? I got to be downtown
at
the Shangri-La Circa by 9 a.m. I'm trying to bet, like Will Hill's sending me like something to bet, that I want to get down on, and like literally the entire day. Now I don't have a lot of these are optional, but but I don't want to miss them. So like I'm constantly like, and I got all my sheets that are like I got college basketball, and now I got my NBA plays, and what's this? I'm playing the Oklahoma City team total over because the NBA guru is on that, and I'm like constantly like betting and pulling over the side of the road, or I'm like so busy, I'm like, get me down, guru likes this, and there's just like, it's like that song, No Time Left for You, no time for a summer friend or the love they send, because I got to get down on guru.
Wow, that was more than I expected right there with the loss of breath. When do you have time to say mean things to people on Twitter, for God's sakes?
When Todd says mean things about me and he turns purple and he talks really fast. Yeah. I have a mean thing to say about coaches. I'm convinced that the power ratings don't work. The reason the dogs don't cover...
We're talking about the NFL now?
And college.
Okay.
Is because two real main reasons. Idiot coaches kicking field goals, 4th and goal from the 1. Think about it, your EPA, they could take a knee. If they took a knee, your EPA, you get the ball, is like minus 1.2 points. Mm-hmm. If I kick off, you're on your 35, it's like plus 1.5. So I get 3 points, but you get 2.7 points from field position. It's almost like a push. I'm indifferent between taking a knee on 4th and goal, but the number one thing that's driving me crazy right now, I'm doing a wishnev, I'm turning purple.
I can't stop him.
You have the ball on the 1 yard line. Why do they spend 30 seconds, calling audibles, and they're just trying to get their linemen to jump offsides? I'm convinced the bad teams have illegal motion, illegal procedure, offsides 5 times more than the good teams who just rush to the line of scrimmage and do a quarterback sneak and score.
Steve Fezzik has a lot that bothers him. Starbucks food perhaps being top of that list.
So overpriced and on the casino corridor.
Stormy disagrees with you, by the way, as you said on the Megapod.
I could be wrong.
You are really like... on the text, it's like watching football with a 90-year-old man because of the stuff that bothers you. If you had to choose one thing above all that bothers you, is it the punt returner who feels at the 2? Like, what is it? There's so many things that drive you crazy.
The low football IQ of the players, things that are just making ridiculous decisions, like the kickoff returner that grabs the ball when he's like an inch away from out of bounds instead of putting his foot out of bounds and grabbing the ball and getting it on the 35. And the dinos from the announcers, and the people who've been in the business for 50 years that still think 3 is worth more than 7. All right. And thank goodness, it's interesting. The analytics people, the analytics gang has taken over. So they're not allowing these old fossils there. So what's wrong with the field goal? Because the math completely supports going for it, and that's what all the good teams are doing.
Yeah, it's no longer cute. It's no longer attractive for an announcing team to have no understanding of why a team would go from 14 to 8 to 6.
Other than the coach not getting fired, but the coach realizes now he won't get fired because the analytics team will keep him from being fired because he can say, hey, the analytics people told me to do so. And so it used to be the coaches were conservative because the media, these announcers, every time someone goes for it, the media's like, oh, boy, you could, or the team's down 17, they kick a field goal. Almost always wrong. And they made it a 2-score game. Yeah, 2-score game to get to overtime. You still have to win in overtime. You have to get the 2 touchdowns and you have to shut out your opponent. Good luck with that. If you have the money line and you're up 17, you're like, please kick the field goal. I'll win. Thank you.
Get this man an IV. Very, very passionate from Steve Fezzik today on the show. Last 20 seconds, you want to say something about F1 while you're angry at people?
Yeah, this is 2 days of extra revenue on the Strip and 2 months of construction. It's a huge negative for Vegas. I believe part of the reason Vegas is struggling so much is people come here in November and it's such a crappy time with high prices and bad traffic. They don't return, and F1 is a part of the downturn of Vegas.
See how they zoomed in on you when you were getting into that? Steve Fezzik, everybody, at Fezzik Sports on Twitter. Follow at your own peril.
Thanks for watching, but don't let the betting insights end here. If you want an extra edge this football season, you can get a month of VSiN Pro right now absolutely free. That means access to our betting insights, analysis, and tools like our betting splits at 0 cost to you. Click the link in the description to sign up.